Hi class, and welcome to this video for Year 12 Business Management, which is going to still be on Unit 3 Outcome 1. And in this video, we're going to focus on one key knowledge point, but an important one, called management skills. What do I hope that you get out of this video? I hope that you understand the important skills that managers have. And we're going to split that into 6 key skills, which we need to know from the study design, being communication, delegation or delegating, planning, leading, decision making, and having strong interpersonal skills. Now, I would argue that if a business manager has these skills, they're going to set themselves up to be successful. And if a business leadership team has these skills, then a business is setting itself up for success. So the purpose of this video is to understand what these skills are, some key components of it, and hopefully we'll understand what these are and why they're important for business management. Now, the first skill is communication. When we talk about communication, what we're really thinking about is the creating and exchanging information and ideas between people. Now, this is especially important for management because they are often estimated to spend about 60 to 80% of their time in some sort of conversation or communicating process. Because often the manager's not doing as much, but they are out making decisions and communicating the reasons for their decisions. So they're communicating to that broad range of stakeholders that we learnt about in the previous video, including other managers, employees, customers, suppliers, and community. So it's really important that they effectively communicate their decisions, their reasons, their logic, their objectives to ensure that the business objectives are met. The second skill is maybe one that we haven't heard as much before, called delegation. This involves the passing of authority down to their subordinates or employees below them to perform tasks or to make decisions. Because as I said, the management level of a business are often not doing as much, but there are many tasks that need to be done in a business, and managers often delegate or tell subordinates what to do. So when delegating and making a person accountable for a specific task, the manager must do this effectively. And to do this, they should determine the task to be delegated, nominate the subordinate who is going to be allocated with that task, define the task so it's really clear, and then continue to monitor and encourage the person undertaking the task so then they can review their performance and revise this next time. So you can see that it's a really important component because a manager is spending a lot of time telling subordinates what to do, and they need to do this effectively and clearly by determining the task, telling who's going to be doing it so it's clear. Defining it and monitoring it and reviewing it is how a business achieves their objectives. Now, it's important to note that not managers do some tasks, because some tasks are more suited to delegation than others. What are tasks suited to delegation? Tasks that form part of a larger project. These repetitive or time-consuming tasks that well-paid managers don't have the time or to do, or it makes more sense for someone to do it who's being paid less. Collecting or organizing data so that the managers can use that data at a later date, or training of others. Now, tasks that are not suited to delegation, and hence the managers should probably do themselves, are the strategic, which is another word for long-term planning and decisions, ones that have a big impact in the long term, high-risk decisions or high-cost decisions, so important decisions. Decisions that are of a confidential matter, and that doesn't make sense to include others in it, and highly specialized tasks that require specific training that maybe only the manager has. So in short, the less important, the repetitive, the less valuable tasks should be delegated, while the manager should continue to make the strategic, high-risk, high-cost decisions. And this involves the next skill that's important, which is planning. Managers do a lot of planning and they should have skills in planning. What do we mean by planning? We are talking about the process of establishing objectives, establishing the purpose and mission of the business, and importantly, the strategies for achieving them. Because if you establish the objective, then come up with a strategy to achieve the objective, then it is likely that you will achieve that objective. And hence, effective planning is really important as it allows the management to create a clear direction for all the business. Now, it's important to understand that there are different levels of planning, and you can see here we have strategic planning, tactical planning, and operational planning. And you can see that there are different levels of which manager does those. So let's delve into that a little bit more, and we're going to call this the levels of planning. Because we plan for the long term and short term at the same time. So when we're talking about strategic planning, we're talking about planning for the long term. And in business, that really is to 2 to 5 years, because it's really hard to do any planning for any longer than 5 years. Who is responsible for that? The more senior people, because it's long term. It's a plan for a long time. And the focus here is coming up with formal long-term plans, which you can't plan everything. So you're often looking to plan the overall direction of the business. What is the values? What is the structure, the vision, or the culture that the business is trying to establish? Now, once you've created a strategic plan about what you want to achieve, then you can move into tactical planning. And this is more medium term, short or 1 to 2 years. And this is where maybe middle managers come in. Now, this is where you start to focus on how you're going to allocate your resources and establish goals within each area to achieve the long-term objectives that you created for the 2 to 5 years. So, for example, if the objective for 5 years is to have a massive objective to increase sales, tactically, you might think about, do we need to expand an advertising campaign or find new technology, for example? And then we move into the operational planning once the tacticals have been determined, which is the day-to-day planning. Lower managers and frontline managers do this, and this is all the day-to-day, weekly plans that small teams and employees do. How are we going to improve efficiency or improve work over that week or day? And if we do this effectively, we should have a process. And a way to remember that process is the acronym DADM. To effectively plan, we should define the objective, analyze the environment, and once you've worked out what you want to do and analyze the environment that you're in, you can start to develop and evaluate alternative strategies. And once you have alternative strategies, you can implement the most effective one. And once you've started to implement it, you of course should monitor and evaluate it. So hence D for define, A for analyze, D for develop, I for implement, and then M for monitor is the most effective planning process that business managers should do across all levels of planning. And then we come to our fourth management skill, which is leading. Managers should have leadership. Leading is a skill in which refers to the process of influencing or motivating people. Managers should be able to influence and motivate people to ensure that they achieve the business objective. Now, you have probably all been exposed to different leaders in your life, and I'm sure you have been able to work out some that you think are good leaders and some that aren't. So what are the effective skills of a leader? I encourage you to pause that and come up with a list. In these slides, we've summarized them as having effective leaders will have strong interpersonal skills, strong informational skills, and great decision-making skills. When I say interpersonal, we have just realized that managers communicate and interact with lots of different stakeholders. So they need to understand these people and understand the emotions of themselves and of others. And you might call this emotional intelligence. This will then allow them to be mentors and support people, build relationships, and can establish a vision that people want to follow. Now, leaders should have the informational skills to ensure that they can communicate effectively, and they should be able to listen to others and listen to ideas and are open to feedback. And of course, they should be able to have strong decision making. And this is where we move into our next skill, which is decision making. Good managers should have great decision making skills. And this involves taking a multi-step approach to solving problems by making decisions. Business managers that are successful should have a systematic approach to making decisions, because that will give them, if they have a system, this will reduce the chance of them overlooking important factors and making bad decisions. And if managers are making decisions and that's what they're doing, that's what they're getting paid to do, they need to have a process about how they're going to make the best decision as much as possible. So what is an effective decision-making process? Good decision makers should be able to define the problem and then establish the cause of that problem, and then be able to try and come up with lots of solutions. And once they have come up with lots of solutions, they can evaluate that solution and to decide which is the best alternative and implement it, and then always evaluate. And then they can determine if the problem has been solved. And if that is they have, then everyone will be happy. They can keep going to the next problem. But if not, they might start to move back to here and redefine the problem. Think about what are the other causes and try and come up with other solutions. So you can see this is an ongoing process. The next skill, and our final skill that we need to know for our study design, we've covered already, is interpersonal skills. And as I said, these are the skills used by the manager when they are dealing with people, which a manager does often. It involves being able to communicate and interact with people. It involves being able to do this with emotional intelligence and empathy. So managers who are who have excellent interpersonal skills will be those that are effective communicators, are empathetic, so they're able to understand what the perspective of others, they're able to motivate people, and are respectful, honest, and ethical, because then people will follow you. Now you might be thinking, good managers have other skills as well. You are absolutely right. These are the 6 that we have focused on because they are in the study design. Other skills that you might need to be an effective manager are negotiation, time management, stress management, and lots of others. You are always welcome to talk about those, but I always encourage you to talk about the ones that are specific to the study design. Now, I hope you found this video useful that has covered the management skills required to be a successful business manager. And we know if we have successful business managers, we would hopefully achieve our objectives and please our stakeholders. And the key skills that managers should have are communication, delegation, planning, leadership, decision-making, and interpersonal skills. Hope you found this video useful. As always, I encourage you to like and subscribe this channel and keep a lookout for more business management videos.